this video, I will show you how I create no-dig garden beds. Spoiler alert, there is a little bit of digging involved. Here are two beds I created this month. These beds I created completely for free, with the exception of the mushroom spawn that I used to inoculate each bed, the cardboard I sourced from a neighbor who put massive boxes out for recycling. I decided to upcycle them myself. The compost is homemade compost from leaves and manure. I'll link a video on how to make compost in just 3 weeks in the description below. I collected the wood chips from a local arborist who makes them freely available for pickup. The first step is laying out the area with cardboard. Make sure to verify that the location of the bed and shape are appropriate. It is important to bring a second set of eyes to make sure that everything looks okay. I did 2 to 3 layers of cardboard on this bed. This is the stage where I dig a little. I only dig around the edges. I find that I can keep the edges cleaner with the weed whacker this way. Keep in mind that in our very wet weather, we have lots of very strong dollar weed. If you slack on the edging, you will pay. When I first saw Charles Doding create no-dig beds, my first thought was, he certainly does not have to deal with Bermuda grass and dollar weeds. There's no way that works here. It took me several years until I decided to give it a try. I was shocked to find that this method indeed suppresses weeds a lot. You still have to hoe your beds and stay on top of the weed situation, but it's remarkably easier. To do my edge, I tried to keep the shovel as vertically as possible around the edge of the cardboard. Then I make a second pass, cutting a wedge from the inside of the bed and trying to keep the shovel at about 30 degrees. The wedge I cut out, I stick under the cardboard. This gives me some height and automatically makes my trench a bit deeper without having to dig too much. I still consider the bed a no-dig bed, as all the disrupted areas will remain under the wood chips and not under the compost where the plants will grow. Next, I get the cardboard wet. This helps the cardboard take the shape of the ground below easier, in particular in the edge where the strongest slope will be located. In the next step, I'll lay wood chips down to create the edges and paths of my beds. In this step, I push the cardboard down around the edges and make sure the wood chips weigh it down. I do not make hard edges yet with the weed whacker. I go around the bed with the weed whacker a week after. This way, the cardboard is already laying down flat and tight against the ground. On these beds, I spread blewit mushroom spawn. Blewits are secondary decomposers that are well suited to thrive on manure and leaves compost. I'll link 2 great companies that can provide you with spawn in the description below. Blewits are a bit less reliable bloomers than winecaps and oysters. However, as soon as I saw the picture of a violet blewit, I knew I would inoculate a bed with them. Next step is the fun one. We get to top the bed with compost. I was aiming for about 4 inches of compost on each side. It took almost the entire cubic yard to fill up the beds. Since I was inoculating with mushrooms, I kept watering in between layers of compost. This is not necessary in general. You can water at the end of the process. The idea of no-dig beds, roughly, is that the cardboard and wood chips or compost will block the light to the grass and weeds below. Then, the compost feeds the plants, whose roots eventually spread through the cardboard and into the soil below. By leaving the soil below undisrupted, the ecosystem in the soil is readily available to help the plants absorb nutrients from the soil. The compost on top feeds the soil, and the microorganisms and insects in the soil help spread the nutrients into the soil below. The last step is to plant your beds. Note that I do not dig in the beds. I just move the compost to the side with my trowel and put the plant in. The wooden raised beds in my garden cost me about $80 each some years ago. These no-dig beds were absolutely free, and remarkably, the vegetables in the no-dig beds are growing better than those in the raised beds. If you're looking to increase the planting area in your garden, consider these options seriously. If you have any questions, write them as a comment below. In the meantime, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Happy gardening!